welcome to Scotland.
I'm having a great time.
There is so much to do in this gorgeous country that I had a whole list of things to do after my last visit. Here's a link to the first video in case you missed it. So much was left over on my to-do list that I was able to create an entire second itinerary out of those activities. And I would still love to go back again and do even more of the outer islands and remote parts. I cannot get enough of this beautiful, gorgeous country. 2 Edinburgh castles, Holyrood Palace or Edinburgh Castle. Which one to visit? These are 2 completely different experiences, each one good for a different kind of traveler, or maybe because they are so different, you could fit both into your itinerary. Edinburgh Castle has layers and layers of history. It has all sorts of different types of buildings, and it is really diverse, so you can kind of see the layers of history throughout this region.
So this is the one with all the doors.
Then you go to Fort Palace,
And then there are more doors.
We did a tour of Edinburgh Castle. I really recommend the tour. I think doing it on your own would be a little bit overwhelming. There's a lot of different parts, a lot of history, museums, collections, buildings to see from different eras, things to pay attention to, and we would have missed a lot of those things without having someone to guide us through it.
Do you want me to take a picture of you emerging from the latrine?
After a tour, you can enjoy a lovely walk down the Royal Mile, in which you can eat, drink, and shop. Another day, another castle. Holyrood Palace is much more of a palace. You walk in and you see grand reception rooms, you see staterooms, you see rooms that were used for hosting dinner parties. It kind of has this flow of a palace that you would expect, whereas Edinburgh Castle has a lot more military fortress going on, and it also has lots of separate buildings because it was used for different things throughout. Holyrood Palace House. We did the tour, which is about £20. You have access to the grounds and the inside of the palace, the old abbey ruins, and then also the gardens. You can't take any pictures inside the palace, which is why I don't have any here. Holyrood House is beautiful. It is a real joy to walk through. You get a handheld audio guide on your way through. I thought this one was nice. You're able to pace yourself through the palace and grounds at your own leisure. Maybe you're like me. Maybe you're a fan of The Crown on Netflix. And if you are, then you have seen this ship make an appearance on that show. This is the Royal Yacht Britannia, which Queen Elizabeth used during her reign. And that yacht just happens to be parked in Edinburgh. This is a permanent exhibition that you can come visit and explore. We are on the Yacht Britannia, and I'm in the captain's chair. There is just something so fun about watching a TV series about a historical event and then getting to go see that item in real life. This was another activity that came with a self-guided handheld tour. Again, this allows you to go at your own pace. So as long as they're well curated, I think self-guided tours are fantastic. This is a must-see. We just toured the Royal Yacht, the Britannia. This is a very interesting trip through history and the life of the yacht. It was really interesting to tour this because you got to see both the Queen side and the crew side. This ship had a crew of almost 300. You were housing 300 personnel on this ship, in addition to having all sorts of royals and high-level people on this ship. I loved it. It was self-guided, so as we were going through, we each were going at kind of our own pace, and we looked at what interests us, and we moved as we wanted. And I kind of realized partway through that I didn't know if Jess and Angela were enjoying it. I think they also really enjoyed it, but it was interesting to just have this experience of my own and be like, I have no idea what they're thinking. Angela, what do you think of the boat so far?
Of the what?
The boat, the Gross Britannia.
I think it's fun. I would like one.
Not as fun to visit. I would like my own.
I need 300 man staff to make sure I have an appropriate
to make sure we're comfortable
time on my massive yacht.
I'm at a castle. Jason's carrying my coffee because he's nice like that.
I'm very nice.
Another activity that I chose because I'd watched The Crown was going to Balmoral Castle. A lot of historical recollections say that Balmoral was Queen Elizabeth's favorite house. She would spend as much time here as she was able to. It was very fun to get to see this place that was talked about in reference so often in these medias I'm consuming. You don't really get to go inside the castle. It's really mostly just the grounds and some of the outer buildings where there's a cafe and things like that. The monarchy purchased this castle in 1848 after they vacationed on the coast for a week where they just had terribly rainy weather. So they purchased this one because this area of Scotland's actually fairly dry in comparison. It's no desert, but it does rain considerably less. Because we were there in the summer, it was really nice to walk through the gardens. They have really extensive gardens. They have a lot on the castle grounds in order to make the castle more self-sufficient. So fresh flowers were picked on the grounds, fruits and vegetables are grown here. They even have cattle. It was interesting to see that King Charles had already started making some changes to the grounds. He was already starting to put his fingerprint on these places. So even though I think of it as a favorite of Queen Elizabeth, it has now moved on to King Charles, and he will make his own imprint on this special place. Because the grounds are so big, you could easily take a day here to wander the grounds, see the garden, and explore the area.
How you all doing? You're all right? Yep. Nice boat trip? Yep. My name's Thomas, I'm the assistant warden. I'm just here to welcome you to the Isle of May. It's a national nature reserve. And it's full of wildlife just now.
I think that everyone has seen the puffins on Instagram or maybe on TikTok, and you see the most beautiful landscapes with puffins just everywhere. And when I saw that we were going to be in Scotland for puffin season, Isle of May was a must-do because you can get there from Edinburgh. So when you're looking at puffins on the internet, you see them just walking around out on the fields. They're everywhere. You can get up close to them. While we were on the Island of May, we mostly saw puffins flying in the sky directly into their burrows. I didn't see a lot of puffins just standing around. I just didn't see puffins in the same way. I still really enjoyed this experience. I just wish my expectations had been a little bit lower. So we're on the Isle of May. We came here to try and see the puffins. We're right at the end of their season, and unfortunately it seems like we missed it. They said that in the past few days they pretty much all left the island, so we saw a few on the boat ride over, but none so far while we've been here. We have seen some seals and lots of other birds, so still a really interesting place to be. So I'm at the visitor center and they have this board that says there's still puffins in their nests. I have not seen any, but maybe I need to be walking slower and looking more closely. I'm gonna do another loop. Hopefully this time I find a puffin. So it turns out I've been looking in the wrong place. It turns out you need to watch for the sky. I've been trying to look in their little holes. So all of these burrows, I've been trying to look around these things to look for the puffins, but it turns out that they're flying in the sky, bringing food to the inlets. I think the other thing that I wasn't expecting, though, was all the other wildlife here. We saw seals, we saw different types of birds. It really was an exciting place to see wildlife outside the puffins. So I'm really glad for that because it was a beautiful day and I really enjoyed being out with nature on this island. So here I am sitting on the morning of our middle day. It's day 3, so it's Saturday. And we've had a lovely trip so far. So we're at the Belthaney Hotel, which is a bed and breakfast, but it's got a conference center. It's really big. It's super beautiful. And I'm in the gardens. I'm sitting by the river. I'm having my cup of tea for breakfast. I'm having my cup of tea before breakfast. We have a full breakfast here. Since we had left Edinburgh in order to get out to the Island of May, I booked us a gorgeous bed and breakfast to stay in that is an old country estate. And I cannot tell you how relaxing it is to wake up on the river, have a full English breakfast, and just enjoy the gardens. You could spend so much more time here, but unfortunately because our time constraints, we barely scratched the surface of the joys of relaxation in the Scottish countryside. I absolutely love the heather that grows in Scotland. It's this short little shrub that covers the ground and it has this purple flower. And when they bloom, the whole ground kind of turns purple. This year we were a little bit early for it to actually be completely purple, but you got these patches where the ground is just purple. Because there's not a lot of tree growth here, you were able to see your whole surroundings. You get 360 views up into the mountains, down into the valleys, through the creeks. It's so magical because you're fully immersed in the experience of being in this wilderness space. So we're down here. We're not even a mile in, and Florian is right there, a little white dot. It's either him or a sheep, but I'm pretty sure that's a two-legged animal. He is going for the summit. We are not. Alright, so we've turned around, but you can see Jason. Oh, maybe you can't see him on the video. And it wouldn't be hiking in Scotland if there wasn't a little rain. However, this rain came with the most gorgeous double rainbow. This rainbow was so bright and lasted for so long. It was pure magic to be in this space with the beautiful background, magnificent rainbows. Another thing I love about hiking here is that you will always see sheep, and they hate humans and they will run away from you, and I will spend the whole time trying to get a good picture of them, only for them to try and get away from me. So it's a little bit of a love-hate relationship where I love them and they hate me. Of course, I'm always respectful and do it from the path, but it's still, they're so cute. I want to say hi. The two summiters are back. They're human-sized again. We're on this beautiful lake in Scotland with stand-up paddleboards.
We're doing it. This is great.
Nobody likes my fun activities.
We love Kara's fun activities.
In addition to beautiful mountains, Scotland also has gorgeous lakes. Scotland is full of tons of lochs, which are its lakes, both freshwater and saltwater. We took a morning to rent paddleboards and enjoy the beauty from out on the water. There are tons of different ways to enjoy these beautiful lochs. This was just my top pick. Shout out to Jessica. It was Jessica's first time on a paddle boat. She did a fantastic job and fully embraced the new experience. The water is this really dark coppery color. I can see the bottom. I can see the sand. It's an interesting color of water.
It's so scary. It's so choppy. I'm barely hanging on. Who's done this?
Don't worry, he's not dramatic at all.
No, this is the truth.
It is turning into the most beautiful day here on the lake. We are walking to a distillery tasting because, as I found out the last time I was here, if you are the driver, they will not let you even taste. So I got an Airbnb in the town and we're walking over to Dewar's Aberfeldy Distillery. And last up, if you remember on my last video, I was the main driver, so I wasn't able to partake in any tasting experiences for Scotch whiskey. This time I was also the main driver, but I knew that going in, and so I booked our Airbnb within walking distance of the Aberfeldy Distillery. This building was the original distillery. It doesn't really do a ton of production or storage anymore. It has been moved mostly into being a tourist location where guests can come try whiskey, do an education experience, and see a bit of the brewing process. And because I'd been waiting years for this experience, I went all in. And I got the top of the line tasting experience. So we got whiskey cask strength straight from the barrel. We got the whole lineup of whiskeys. It was really fun to go back and forth between the different price points and the different label styles and just experience what the whiskey tastes like and really sit and think on what we were tasting, what we were experiencing, and which one really tasted the best to us.
I like this one as well, but I think this one's just more full-bodied. So we just had a tour of the facility, went all through the whiskey making process, from fermentation to distillation to maturation. Super knowledgeable tour guide, ended with some nice whiskey tasting. Overall, A+.
As always, there's not enough time for this beautiful country. There are so many more things that I would love to do, and I look forward to showing you them in a future video. I will definitely be back.